Russia in 1917 was a cracked empire, brittle, burdened, and boiling beneath the surface. Centuries of autocratic rule under the Romanov dynasty had created a fragile social order. The czars ruled with divine right, while peasants lived in misery and aristocrats dined in gold. The industrial boom had come too fast. Factories were crowded, wages low, and unrest growing. Then came World War I. Russia, ill-prepared and poorly led, bled millions on the battlefield. Soldiers deserted, food vanished, trust in the monarchy collapsed. By early 1917, Tsar Nicholas II's empire stood on shaky legs. And in Petrograd, something was about to ignite. Like this story so far? Hit the like button and stay with us as we uncover the storm that changed Russia forever. No king survives a starving people with nothing to lose. In February 1917, workers in Petrograd went on strike. Women marched for bread. Soldiers were sent to crush them, but many joined instead. The Tsar lost control over his army and over the capital. Days of chaos followed. The Duma, Russia's parliament, formed a provisional government. Under pressure and isolated, Tsar Nicholas II abdicated. It was the end of 300 years of Romanov rule. But Russia wasn't free. The new government promised reform, but it kept Russia in the war, failed to fix the economy, and couldn't satisfy the people's cries for peace and land. In the shadows, the Bolsheviks were watching, and they were ready. A sealed train carried not just a man, but a revolution. In April 1917, Vladimir Lenin, exiled and hunted, returned to Russia with German help. They knew his presence could destabilize the enemy from within. And they were right. Lenin arrived in Petrograd with radical promises: peace, land, bread. He denounced the provisional government and called for a new uprising led by the workers and soldiers. His party, the Bolsheviks, was small but fiercely disciplined. Their slogans caught fire in factories and trenches. Lenin wasn't waiting for history, he was writing it. Subscribe now so you don't miss. When the people rise before the leaders are ready, chaos follows. July 1917. The streets of Petrograd exploded with protest. Workers, sailors, and soldiers, many loyal to the Bolsheviks, demanded power shift to the Soviets. But Lenin hesitated. The moment wasn't right. The uprising lacked coordination. The provisional government struck back. Bolshevik newspapers were shut down. Leaders arrested. Lenin fled to Finland. For a moment, the revolution seemed to falter. But this was no defeat. It was a dress rehearsal. The Bolsheviks learned. They reorganized. And in the silence that followed, they prepared for their final move. Enemies sometimes do more for your cause than your friends ever could. In August 1917, General Lavr Kornilov, fearing chaos and leftist influence, marched toward Petrograd to restore order with force. Prime Minister Alexander Kerensky, panicked, turned to the very group he feared, the Bolsheviks. He gave them arms to defend the city. Kornilov's coup failed, but the cost was immense. Now the Bolsheviks were armed, organized, and seen as defenders of the revolution. Their support surged, in factories, in garrisons, in hearts. Red flags were rising. Revolutions don't always shout. Sometimes they whisper and strike. October 1917. Petrograd was tense. The provisional government was paralyzed. Lenin returned in secret. The Bolsheviks now controlled the Soviets in major cities. Plans for an armed insurrection were underway. On October 24th, Red Guards seized key points: post offices, rail stations, bridges. No grand battles, no mass bloodshed. Just quiet, surgical precision. By the night of October 25th, the Bolsheviks stormed the Winter Palace. The provisional government fell, and Russia changed forever. The revolution was easy. What came next was chaos. After the Winter Palace fell, Petrograd awoke under new rulers. The Bolsheviks, now in charge, faced a fractured, war-torn empire. Railroads collapsed, food vanished, soldiers deserted en masse. Lenin promised peace, land, bread, but delivering it would be brutal. Banks refused to cooperate. Factories slowed. Opposition parties were silenced. The press was muzzled. What began as freedom now tightened into authority. The revolution wasn't the end. It was the beginning of war. 1918. Russia plunged into civil war. The Red Army, Bolsheviks, battled the White Army, royalists, liberals, and foreign powers. Britain, France, the US, and Japan all sent troops. Entire cities turned into battlegrounds. The countryside burned. The Bolsheviks, led by Trotsky, turned the Red Army into a disciplined, ruthless force. The Whites lacked unity and committed their own brutalities. In the end, Red Terror outlasted White chaos. The revolution didn't just take power, it took lives. In July 1918, the Romanov family, Russia's former royal dynasty, was executed. Tsar Nicholas II, his wife Alexandra, and their 5 children were shot in a basement in Yekaterinburg. The Bolsheviks feared they could become a symbol for counter-revolution. It wasn't just the death of a family. It was the symbolic end of 300 years of monarchy. The Soviet state was being forged in blood, and mercy was not part of the plan. Out of revolution, a new empire was born. By 1922, the Bolsheviks had won. The Soviet Union was officially formed. Lenin introduced the new economic policy, allowing limited capital